Welcome back, everybody. It's Zach here, bringing you guys another fantasy football video. This will be another mock draft here. I'll be doing this on the Sleeper platform, another 10-team half PPR mock draft with 2 flex spots. I'll be doing this one from the 5 spot. Again, just sort of trying to hop around, give you guys a general thing to go off of for whatever draft format or whatever platform you're on. So I'll be doing all 3 major platforms, Sleeper, ESPN, Yahoo. I'll be doing 10 and 12 team leagues, and I'll be doing like picks 1, 5, and 10 for each of them. I'll mix in some 12 team leagues as well. Try and get you guys as much information as you can going into your drafts, and it's just really fun for me as well to do this. Really fun to do all these mock drafts and just see how the teams pan out and really just get a good understanding of what we expect to happen going into each of our drafts. So hopefully you guys are finding these useful. Again, if you guys do have any specific draft format requests, let me know in the comments below. I can take some specific requests here and do that. On top of that, I might set up like a live stream at some point here. Maybe we'll do a live draft and get some of you guys in here and we can all do a mock draft together. That'd be a lot of fun. And then the subscriber league will be happening here pretty soon. Here we got like 1 or 2 spots left. So if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments below. But I'm going to be super thrilled to get that. We'll keep providing updates. We'll make sure we do a live stream of that draft as well when that one happens. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys are liking this. And yeah, we'll get the draft started here. We're picking from the 5 spot, so we're probably looking at missing out on the top tier of running back and receivers. We're obviously going to miss out on CD, seeing Bijan go second, and then McCaffrey third. That's certainly interesting. So where we're drafting here, I'm not going to take Justin Jefferson at pick 4. I'm just too concerned about the quarterback play to justify taking this early. Jamar Chase would be my pick if I were going to take a receiver. And I think I'm going to go with Jamar Chase here in a league where we were starting. If you look at our roster here, we've got 2 receivers and 2 flex spots, so I can play up to 4 wide receivers, especially in a half PPR or PPR format. I'm going to prioritize the receiver position a little bit, and we're going to take Jamar Chase here. I'm especially looking at who's going to come back to us. What I'm really hoping is that we can get Kyron here with pick 15. It takes we need him to slip just a tiny bit for that to happen, but if he can get to us, that'd be fantastic. He did not get to us, so now it's really interesting here. We're looking at either Garrett Wilson, who slipped quite a bit, or Marvin Harrison for me. As much as I like getting players at value when they slip to me, Garrett Wilson's not a guy that I'm super high on, and I'm not going to take a guy that I don't like just because they slipped to me. So I think it's Marvin Harrison. Other players in consideration here, I would consider Travis Etienne, but I don't love that value, especially if we look at the running backs I can get next. Maybe we can get Devon Achane with our 3rd round pick. If not, I do love Pacheco as an option. So I think I'm going to double down here, get Marvin Harrison, just really build out a really awesome receiving core and feel really good about that going into the start of the year. So we're hoping here that we can get, wow, okay. So looking at things, we saw a bit of a run at running back here. We saw Etienne, Jacobs, Henry, and Achane all go. So none of those guys made it back to us. Olave is in consideration here. If we do take a look, Olave would be the next player off the board. I do love Pacheco, but okay, sort of going with a 0 RB approach if I want to here. Let's take a look at the running backs that we'll be looking at pick 45, or pick 45, yeah, I guess 35. Rachaad White and James Cook are both great. I have no problem taking them as my RB1 here, and I think I prefer having Chris Olave to Isaiah Pacheco because I can play 3 or 4 wide receivers here. I'm going to prioritize that, and we'll just play around with what happens with a 0 RB build as well. So I'm going to take Olave here. Just look at that receiving core. That's got to get you excited with having Chase, Harrison, and Olave. So just fun to do stuff, play around with these different builds and all that as well. And wow, we got super lucky. Isaiah Pacheco made it back to us here, so that's just an auto pick. Got him to slip to us, pick 35, so we still got him as our RB1. I feel really great about that. Going back around here, we will consider Cooper Kupp. He obviously slipped a little bit. That is definitely exciting. I do think that Kupp is a guy that has a shot to be a top 20 wide receiver again this season. Obviously, with an injury news that we have with Puka, we don't know if necessarily if Puka is going to miss any time, but it does elevate Kupp's upside. So we got to keep that in mind. If you look at quarterback here, TJ Stroud, not a value. I need him to slip to me if I'm going to consider that. So I'm not really looking at Stroud here. At running back, we saw Rachaad White go just before that. That sucks. It also sucked seeing Trey McBride go. But if we do look at the tight end position, Mark Andrews is in consideration. If we don't get him, we're probably looking at either hoping Kincaid slips to us next round, or we're probably looking at either Ingram or Njoku. Let's see. If we look at the receiver position again, so Mixon's an okay pick. I don't hate it. Just like a safe, boring pick, but a guy that's going to be good for us over the course of the season. He would round out our running back room. But there are guys later on that I like too. We can get Monty or Najee and feel pretty good about our running back room. So we don't need to do that. Receivers, I think I'm going to go with Cooper Kupp here and just build out a really stacked wide receiver room. So we did that. We've got 4 receivers in our first 5 picks. So a really interesting build here, but you can't argue with the results looking at that receiver room. I feel really confident that they're going to be able to carry the roster, even if the starting lineup is a little thin at the running back position. So looking at this here, so we do clearly need to take a running back in all likelihood. We're also looking at potentially taking a quarterback or a tight end. Quarterback, it'd be a reach to take a quarterback here, so I'm not looking to do that. Again, I'll generally note that especially in 10-team leagues, there are 10 quarterbacks I like. You see Jordan Love is the 10th quarterback off the board. I have no problem waiting to be the last one of those teams. It's very rare that you're going to see a team take 2 quarterbacks this early in the draft, so I think you're pretty safe to bet on that if you want to do that, especially if you miss out on the early guys. Running back here, we're taking a bad value if we do that. I think we can try and wait and see if Monty or we'll take Najee next round if we have to. So if we look at receiver or at tight end, not in love with George Kittle. I'm not going to reach on him. So even though it's not going to be a starter for us, I'm super high on Tank Dell, and we feel really good about our roster if we grab him and just build out this wide receiver core, even though he's on our bench. So I'm going to do that. I know it's a little counterintuitive to draft players that aren't going to start for you ahead of guys that would. So like obviously Aaron Jones would have been a starting running back for us. So I get why a lot of people would lean towards doing it that way, but it's just not normally how I operate. I generally prefer to try and target a bunch of depth early on because you got to remember that over the course of the entire season there are going to be injuries and all that, and having that 5th wide receiver that I can start, it's going to be super useful to me. I'm not going to regret that pick later on. Here we are now, though. We do need to probably look at a running back here. I don't want to take another wide receiver. I don't want to reach too much here, and I'm going to take the next running back on the board for myself and take Najee. Ingram would have been in consideration as well, but I don't want to be too thin at the running back position. Najee's just a really solid RB2 for us, and he's also a guy that, especially with the Warren injury here, we know he's going to have a ton of guaranteed volume, should be really solid for us throughout the season, and I'll feel comfortable with him as my RB2 going into the year. Beyond that, here, our pick again, Evan Ingram did make it to us. That's certainly an option, as did Kyler Murray. So that's super interesting to look at as well. If we look at the tight end position here, outside of Ingram, and Njoku's probably the last guy that I'm excited about at all. If we look at the quarterback position here, 2 of the 4 teams picking in between us here do not have their quarterback already, so I would be shocked if we don't see Kyler and Dak go at that point. So we'd be looking at Jordan Love at our quarterback, which is totally fine. I feel like the drop off from Kyler to Jordan Love is a lot smaller than the drop off from Ingram to David Njoku. So it kind of makes me want to lean towards going in Ingram here. The only reason I'm even hesitating is because I have Marvin Harrison. Getting that stack is something that's super exciting, and it is going to elevate our ceiling quite a bit. If you look at the running back room here, none of these guys get me super excited. I'm not going to take that. At receiver, Ridley's a strong option, but I don't want to force that here. We've got too many receivers to do that. I think I'm going to take Kyler. Look here, there are only 2 teams that need a tight end after this, so maybe we get lucky and Ingram makes it back to us. Not necessarily going to expect it, but if Ingram does make it back to us, there it goes. Okay. Just saw Ingram go here. That is a bit of a bummer. Got a bit of a run at the receiver position, but we're done at quarterback. We're really set. Looking at tight end here. David Njoku is an option for sure. I do love David Njoku, and I like Jake Ferguson quite a bit. So looking at the tight end position here, every single team after me has already picked their tight end, so it's another thing to keep an eye on when you're doing your drafts here. All 5 of these teams already have their tight ends. There's no need for me to force it and then make sure that I take David Njoku here. There will, in all likelihood, be him. He'll be aboard when we get back to us here. So looking at the running back position, let's take a look. Is there anybody that gets me super excited here? Not really. Brian Robinson's a consideration here. Jonathan Brooks is decent, but we can only have 2 running backs right now, so I need some guaranteed production at the position. So it would be Brian Robinson for me, but I think it's a little bit too early. I'm going to take Rashee Rice and just build out an absolutely stacked wide receiver room here. He's a guy that I think at this point is a pretty crazy value. Going to be the wide receiver 1 for Patrick Mahomes. It seems more and more likely that he's not going to get suspended here, and I think there's a lot of reasons just to be optimistic about that. Okay, so now here we go. With this pick, and actually, yeah, okay, so Team 3 doesn't have a tight end yet. I don't want to play games with that. He's going to get 2 picks in between here, so I think I'll probably need to go in Njoku. Looking at the running back position, we are running out pretty quickly here. We've got to understand that we're going to be pretty weak at the running back room, and that's probably okay. I don't want to go in the start of the season without a tight end, so Njoku's going to be my guy here. He's the last one that I have a lot of excitement about here. And then we're just going to see what we can get here with a running back spot coming up next. Got kind of lucky. Only saw 2 running backs go off the board here. I think for me, there's 2 options. It's either Tajay Spears or Chase Brown. I think Spears has the more guaranteed workload here. Because we only have Pacheco and Harris, I want to get in the running back that I know is going to be involved in the offense for sure. It's going to be Tajay Spears here. He will be a guy that I can comfortably play if I need to. Gives me that third running back, gives me a little bit of stability, and just really helps round out the roster a little bit here. We've got 4 picks left here. We're on the clock again. Looking at running back spot, we got really lucky here. We see that Chase Brown is still available. Jerome Ford is also a consideration, but he's not really an upside pick. It doesn't get me super excited as a guy that could potentially be a league winner. And we saw what happens for him last season. If he's given that full workload, he's just okay. He's an RB2, and that's fine, but nothing super exciting. At the receiver position, I think we're sort of past guys that I'm super stoked about, and we already have so many guys. We got 2 stud wide receivers on our bench and 4 in our starting lineup, so don't think we need to emphasize receiver here. I think I'm going to take Chase Brown and try and build out a more solid running back room here because that is sort of the weak spot of this roster. I know I've got Jamar Chase. Doesn't scare me off of going Tajay Spears here. It's just not enough to really be concerning for me there. Again, comes back to us here. Want to just take more upside shots at running back. I'm going to go with Jalen Wright, a guy that I do think is going to be fantasy relevant at some point this season. He's a guy that is the handcuff behind both Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert. He's a really talented, athletic player. If we were to see Mostert or Achane go down, we could easily see Jalen Wright put up some really monster numbers here, so I like him quite a bit. At this point in the draft here, let's take a look. 2 spots left. Not really looking to emphasize any of these wide receivers. I think we want to hammer running back 2 more times. Rico Dowdle gives us another shot at a starter. We'll take a shot there. And this is something that I would highly recommend too if you get to the point where you've really focused on one position throughout the course of the draft early on. At the end, it's a good opportunity just to hammer out upside shots at the positions you didn't prioritize and just see if you can get lucky with one of those things because it will really highly raise your ceiling over the course of the season. And last, like another great handcuff here, Tyler Algier, a guy who we know would be a rock star if something were to happen to Bijan Robinson. So overall, I like the team. I think it's fair to say that at running back we're a little bit weak here, but we've certainly got the best wide receiver room of anybody in the draft here. I would feel really good about this team going into the season. We've got the stack of Kyler and Marvin Harrison. Lots of things to be excited about with this team. Just to summarize it for you guys, we've got Kyler Murray at quarterback to go with Isaiah Pacheco, Najee Harris, and then Chase Brown, Tajay Spears, Jalen Wright, Rico Dowdle, and Tyler Algier. So a lot of upside shots at the running back position on our bench. Wide receiver room, really the money makers of this roster. We've got Jamar Chase, Marvin Harrison, Chris Olave, Cooper Kupp, Tank Dell, and Rashee Rice. So really good receiving room. I feel like that can certainly carry this roster. And if we hit on the tight end position with Njoku, if Kyler Murray can really elevate it, and maybe we get one hit on those bench running backs, I think this team would be really set up for success. So probably give this team like a B+, maybe a little bit too heavy on the wide receiver side. I'd like to have one more running back that I'm confident in, but at least between Pacheco and Harris, there's going to be a lot of guaranteed touches in those guys, and I will get some solid production out of those guys. So overall, I like the team. If you guys have any comments, feel free to let me know in the comments below. If you guys, again, want me to do any sort of specific mock draft, let me know there as well. I can take requests and do some of those for you guys as well. Beyond that, there's going to keep being several videos a week throughout the course of the season. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, that way you don't miss any of that. I'll be here all year long to help you guys win your leagues. And then if you guys did make it this far in the video, please do give it a thumbs up as well. Helps with the algorithm and helps you know I'm doing a good job and all that. So yeah, appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you with the next one. Peace. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out these other videos here if you haven't. If you want more content, please feel free to follow me on Twitter at RealSteelFFB. I'll be more active on there as the season goes on. Thanks. Catch you later.